Hey guys, welcome to my conversation with your Alabama 7A dual state champion head coach, Patrick Harris. And I should add to that, back to back. How does that feel, coach?
That's amazing. We have lived it up. We've had an adventure just to get to that stage. A lot of challenges, a lot of adversity, a lot of fun. So, you know, uh, I didn't know what it would look like at this point. And the kids, they just handled it amazingly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I don't know if you looked at it, but looking back, Thompson had a nice run as far as state duels champions go, but you're the only other program that's won two now.
It's tough, and that says a lot about the different teams that are they're at the top end of it. I mean, there's not a bunch of 7A teams that have won it, and they keep knocking each other out. So it says a lot about Alabama 7A. It says a lot about the competitiveness, and it also says a lot about the importance of state duels from its conception to where it's at now. And you get a lot of teams that are throwing more energy into preparing for that. That becomes important, and it makes it more exciting.
Yeah. So how much do you love the duels? Like, I mean, I'm a big fan. I don't know about everybody else, but the duels for me are just a special event.
It's fun. I mean, that's the part that's it. We feel like wrestling finally kind of gets that moment
Mhm.
that, as an old football coach, I've coached soccer, I coach all these other sports, that they get that moment where it's these two teams, they're in the same place, they got their support, they got their fans, they have their sidelines. You have all the components of the team versus team that we get just glimpses of in individual tournaments, but it's right in front of our face. The casual fan follows it, the passionate fan follows it, and even the average don't know what's going on, but I want to yell and get excited for my team can follow.
Yeah, no, yeah. And one of the most important parts that I don't think you mentioned is the kids are into it. The
They're so
kids absolutely just love cheering for their teammates. They're so engaged with that duel. In a traditional tournament, you kind of have your mindset on kind of doing your job and that sort of thing. But in that dual atmosphere, it's a lot of fun. They know who needs to go out there and get a pin. They know who needs to go out there and get to take a loss and do your job, but don't get pinned. Those sorts of things.
Oh, that's big, and all those little chess pieces, and sometimes it's a little bit more checkers, and sometimes it's a little bit more chess. As coaches, we see that, and we're like planning ahead of time. But the kids are too. They're seeing it develop as it's going on, and they're talking to each other, and they're getting excited. On our end, and I'm sure it's a lot of other places too. I always feel like when we have a state duel of any level, that there's a home field advantage. Our kids get so excited. They got hype circles. I mean, it's loud, it's crazy. And I feel like that part of that enthusiasm, it doesn't happen enough in the individual tournaments, because everybody's so focused on their own parts and they can't see how it all comes together until it's almost at the end. But you can see it happen from the beginning in the duels. So it's so fun, and we're so thankful to have it.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I'm as excited about that, and I didn't coach during a time when there was a state duel, so it's a little bit of a kind of. But I remember those intense rivalries. I remember those things, and it's such a great atmosphere. And you guys had to run the gauntlet up in the north to even get to even having this conversation. You had some really tough teams who came to battle, and it was a lot of fun to watch you guys have to work those chess pieces to make it work.
Absolutely. What's put out in front of us is the same as what was put out last year in terms of uh, it's the state duels, like many states, are regionally based or geographically based as opposed to seated based. So there's going to be times where, this it's just heavier on one side, and it was last year, it was this year.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's always nice to throw in pretty much like a week and a half of no practice to make it worth more. So, those challenges were really hard, and even on our end, we're not 100%. Not only just health wise, we're in a great spot, but we walked into that the best possible, but not at our maximum. So our potential is much higher, but you go with what you got when you got it, and so it made it
Right.
extremely exciting.
Yeah, well, and sometimes it's calling on a kid who has to step up in a tight situation to make that work for the team. And I look at I don't want to spend too much time on the first duel. I want to go to the Hewitt duel because for me, I kind of in the back of my head knew that Hewitt was a tough team. I mean, they proved it towards the end of the year, but they had some horses kind of coming in. They matched up with you guys pretty well. And even though you guys didn't put up a ton of falls over your three duel matches, the falls at the beginning of that duel proved to be hugely important. Um, was that, I mean, I know you're always seeking the falls, but did you know that, that those kids needed to come through and get those falls at the beginning, or how'd that work out?
Really, the energy was set by Joseph Sal. That first match,
Mm,
if anybody, his story, such an awesome, wonderful kid, wonderful family. These are the people you want to be around. Those are the people you want to trust in. And he's that same way. And he's been out from an injury related thing that he's completely back from, and it's go time. So it's like, that is a pretty good snapshot of what we were dealing with and what many of our guys are dealing with in that circumstance. And so when he sets the tone, and then you rattle off some pins in what was going to be a tight matches at parts. These weren't impossible, but it was, hey, we respect our opponent. We're always going for blood, but at the same time, we ain't gonna put ourselves in danger either. It kind of it got that energy going. It was a hyped atmosphere, but even amongst those pins, which were amazing, we dropped some matches that maybe we were thinking, hey, we feel really good right here, and this one is really tight, and this one we feel good on. And to Hewitt's credit, man, they took them and they kind of countered some of those punches with that. And obviously the team score looked significantly closer, and we'd seen them before, and we've seen them last year, and we've been measuring them since last season to say, hey, what's this going to happen? And they did some great moves, moving down so many probably from almost 190 or really almost 215 all the way down, and they got their football guys back. And so credit to them for really not just embracing it, but being prepped and being ready. And if few things go different way, we're barreling down the right there, tight neck and neck. So the pins
yeah.
were huge to make that in our favor.
Yeah, well, and you said Joe Vasallo set he got a win in a tough match against Bradley Hastings in that opening match, which was super important. Then you guys lost a 5-4 match, was tough, but to rattle off those pins, and then for everybody who doesn't know, after 7 matches, the score's 21-9, and in your favor. Man, I just can't overemphasize how important those are. How comfortable did you feel at the halfway point of, we're going to take care of business and we're going to move on and do what we have to do?
No comfort. No comfort. 100%. I feel like our coaching staff and our kids, they know everybody in the lineup. They feel, what's potential. And so we knew we had a dogfight all the way, especially, at the turn of the weight classes where you go from upper weights to low to 106s. That's where they rebuild some of their strength. They're really
They
strong
do. Yeah.
heavyweight six, and so on. And they're also strategic, they're making sure, hey, we might lose, but you're not going to get a pin, you're not going to get a tech, and so on. And so you play those roles, and they did it really well. And on our end, we're just so excited during that time, but we're over there. We got team scores. How many points are left in the next four duel? You know, how many points are left in the duel? All right, where do we need to be? And a lot of times, while we're not comfortable, it gives us something to attack. And at our staff level, we're able to prep the kids without putting pressure. You know, it's just scoring the next point, not trying to win the match. And so, I think a lot of that environment and that particular, you know, score set, we've been there, and our kids kind of recognized it. And so they just rallied, and it was less about a momentum shift and more about doing the job and just continuously to do so.
So I know, I mean, this is not a slight on Enterprise. They are the state runners up. They had a great run to get to that point. But I I mean, I just can imagine that after a win against Hewitt, you had to be really thoughtful about how you spoke to your team, because they might have felt like, oh, well, we've now won it. And you got to be really careful with that mindset that you still have a job to do in front of you. This team is coming for you. What did you say to them to make sure that they were ready for the next challenge?
That particular, you know, scenario, we kind of had, since we know in advance it's going to be geographically based, and we're going to see someone from the southern area that we don't see that often. We knew it last year, we knew it this year, and so
Mhm.
that we've been ingrained in that for a long time. But the big thing was at Enterprise side, we knew how good they were. We know how good those individuals are. We're familiar with them. And so there's some real dangers in there, not just to team duels, but individual at state. So all that stuff had a major value. Uh, and we had to play as they played. They had some changes in their lineup, so we had to kind of go and see where it's going to go. And then so that kept it not just exciting, but it kept it strategic, and it kept everybody engaged. But yes, it is a tough challenge whenever you feel like you might have already accomplished something. In reality, man, there's still more work to be done. So, you know, our kids do a good job with chopping wood and carrying water, and just trying to be focused on the task.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I asked you this last year. I'm going to ask you the same question. Um, y- y- you finish and you pull the kids back and you're having the conversation with them. What did you tell them?
I told them, and when everything's done,
Yeah.
they accomplished their goal, and we're excited. And you guys are about to take some awesome pictures with your friends and family. And we've accomplished this goal, and we have significant more to go. You know, on our end, part of the conversation also included that, you know, we haven't won the section tournament in my memory, definitely not in my time. And the previous coach has been there a long time. So it was kind of, let's check this box, let's enjoy the moment. And we did. And then they also knew they had another goal. So you don't want to put too much out there, but you definitely want to enjoy the moment. And I don't know if you know our guys, but boy, they know how to have fun. And since they know how to have fun, makes it really easy to just send it their way and let them have a great time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I only know a few of them. Like, I've interacted with a few of them. I don't know all of them, obviously, as a collective and everything else. So um, talk to me a little bit about the specialness of this, like, senior class, and kind of them kind of coming together. You guys now have won two, still goals ahead of you. But what is special about this group of kids?
So this senior class, the majority of them, we got them as seventh graders. And if you look up and down our roster, we have some kids that have done, you know, they do out of state stuff, and they do, and even amongst those, and these kids are homegrown. I mean, they didn't move from some random place. And yeah, we do get move-ins like any school does occasionally, but this group, wow, they started in their middle school program when we were restarting it from scratch and there was nothing. They've embraced that hard part. They've had to look up a long time at teams in which have been extremely
Mhm,
successful,
mhm.
and learn to not give credit before, you know, it's been earned. Uh, they've changed the culture that was being developed prior to them, and they've extended it. And now, in the junior senior year, it's not about just them. It's how much they give back. Like they're always bringing somebody else on, and it's not altruistic stuff, but it's they are very happy amongst their junior senior class, and of course sophomores and freshmen too. But it's not a bunch of individuals. It's a crew, and they're fun, and they're helpful, and they're tough. And I don't know many more characteristics you want from some wrestlers, but I really like this group.
Yeah, yeah, and it is your upperclassmen. I mean it just seems like they have they're a group and they're a team, and I think that is really kind of shown in in the last few years. I mean, really their ability to kind of come together and everything else. All right, coach. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
No, we're just so thankful for your coverage. We're thankful for the opportunity just to show up, to wrestle, to represent our school and our community. We're thankful for the exposure we get here, not for our kids, but for the sport in general and for these. And then on top of that, for all kids that are out there. So this is, a tap on the back for you. If you're promoting so much that people get to enjoy, and we never know the fruits of it until it just ramps up and it gets excited. And these state duels are great. Individual tournaments are great. And the Southeast is getting so much more exposure, as well as the quality's growing up. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I want to wish you guys first a congratulations on back to back. It's not a simple accomplishment. It is fantastic what you guys have accomplished. More to come. Wish you the best of luck over the next coming weeks, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the kids do as they move forward. There were some tight matches in some of those matches. I'm looking forward to some of those matches coming up again here in a few weeks.
We're excited, and I think we got everything we were hoping for this weekend. We took losses, we got tested, we got pressed, and amongst all those circumstances and not being, at perfect, we like it. I'd much rather have adversity than easy street, and we got no easy street from anybody we competed with or the environment. So we are very thankful.
Absolutely, coach. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.